He called me his queen, but ended up in bed with some girl working at a cheap bar while I was treating him like royalty. I didn't cry. I didn't go full drama. I did just one thing, and from that day on, neither of them could show their face again. Wanna know what I did? Stick around and hear the whole story. My name's Kira. I'm 26. I work as a chef at a resort on the shores of Key Largo. The job's busy, high pressure, and sometimes numbs me to the outside world. But no matter how crazy things get, I always made it home on time, because there was one person I never wanted to keep waiting. His name was Omar. He'd been living with me for almost a year, ever since he moved to the city for a remote IT job. We met at a small beach party, and honestly, I never thought a guy like Omar would choose someone like me. He was tall, carried himself with confidence, had that kind of smile that lived in his eyes, and his mouth, smooth as honey. He'd say things like, "You're the woman who makes me want to stop running. I don't need anything else but you." He knew he was charming, and he knew exactly how to use it. I thought I was smart, but with Omar, my guard disappeared. I fell hard and fast before I even realized I was falling. I did everything for him. Made breakfast just the way he liked it, bacon crisp but not burnt, eggs perfectly soft-boiled, his clothes always clean, smelling like the fabric softener I picked myself, because he was sensitive to anything too strong. He never had to lift a finger around the house. I woke up early, went to work, came home, cooked, did the laundry, laid out his gym clothes for the next day. Omar just lived like a king. He'd hold me close and whisper, "I've never felt taken care of like this in my life." And when he said that, every ounce of exhaustion felt worth it. Omar had a way with words. Every time we argued, and really it was just little stuff, all he had to do was take my hand, look me in the eye, and say something like, "You can be mad, just don't stop loving me." And I'd melt. I'd forgive everything. Believe everything. My best friend once told me, "The way you love, it's gonna break you." I just laughed. To me, love means giving your whole heart. If you're always holding back, what's the point? I changed the way I lived for Omar. No more parties. I stopped hanging out with friends as much. I even unfollowed my ex, just to show him I was serious. I learned how to watch soccer, memorize the names of every player he liked. I looked up meal plans for people who work out so I could cook with the right calories in mind. He once held me and whispered, "You're the best thing that's ever happened to me." And I believed him without a shred of doubt. I never held back with Omar. All I wanted was for him to be happy. All I needed was for him to stay. He was my priority. I was just a side note in my own life. And I truly believed, if I was good enough, soft enough, loving enough, he'd never need anyone else. I believed that, so naively, I had no idea. While I was standing in a kitchen hot as an oven, legs aching after a 12-hour shift, Omar was lying in another woman's arms. I had no idea. While I was rubbing his feet at night because he said they were sore, those same hands were touching someone else, somewhere close, too close. I had no idea. I was making sure he slept peacefully, while he was staying up all night for a woman I didn't even know existed. I used to think, if I just loved hard enough, they wouldn't have the heart to hurt me. But loving someone deeply doesn't mean they won't change. And with Omar, the changes crept in, quietly but so clear it made my chest tighten a little more each day. He started talking less. No more silly stories about his managers or the coworker who kept stealing snacks from the break room. Evenings that used to be spent sprawled out together, watching movies or sharing a bag of chips, turned into nights where he sat alone in front of his computer. And whenever I got close, he'd shut the screen and say, "It's all messy code. You wouldn't get it anyway." I'm not the suspicious type, but when a woman truly loves, she can feel it, when something's not right. He kept saying he had to work late, urgent projects. One night, he rushed to change, sprayed on cologne, and sped off at 9 p.m. When I asked, he laughed it off. "High-maintenance client. When they call, I gotta go." I forced a smile and tried to believe him. But what haunted me was the scent of that cologne. It wasn't the one he usually wore. It was heavy, overly sweet, the kind of smell I'd never choose. One time he came home late, his collar still carried that scent, and I noticed 2 buttons on his shirt were mismatched. Omar never did that. He was meticulous, always had been. I started paying closer attention. Quietly, no accusations, no drama. I opened the banking app on my personal laptop, the shared account he used for takeout or small purchases. The most recent transaction was at 10:52 p.m., a fast food place I'd never heard of. I looked up the address. It was in a tiny neighborhood about 15 minutes from our house, and a question hit me. What kind of late-night work ends with dinner in a place like that? Still, I said nothing. I needed to be sure. I couldn't bring up anything without solid proof, because with just one wrong accusation, he'd twist it all, with that same sweet talk as always. And me? I'd fall for it again like a fool. So I downloaded a tracking app, one of those anonymous ones. I tucked it into the wallet he always carried. It took me 2 minutes while he was in the shower. I once read somewhere, trust is good, but verification is survival. I chose survival. I never wanted to spy on the person I loved. But when your gut tells you they're hiding something, doing nothing feels like lying to yourself. I let the app run quietly. The first 3 days, nothing unusual. He went to work, came home, stayed in, still wrapped his arms around me at night, still gave me that soft smile every morning. But everything started to feel off on Friday night. That evening he said he had an online meeting with a client. I asked why not just do it at home. He smiled and said, my buddy's cafe has a private room, it's quieter, I'll be back as soon as I'm done. I nodded, no reaction, no argument. But the moment he walked out the door, I grabbed my phone. 15 minutes later, the location updated. Not a cafe, not an office, nowhere that screamed meeting. It was a rundown 2-star hotel, the same one I'd seen in a news article once, linked to a credit card scam. 10 minutes from our house, I stared at the screen. There was nothing but a blinking red dot. Tiny. But in that moment, that little dot hit like a slap across the face. 9:47 p.m. Omar still hadn't left the hotel. I didn't know exactly what he was doing in there, but I knew one thing for sure. Real love doesn't leave you shaking, clutching your phone in the dark, alone in a room that used to feel like home. I couldn't sleep that night. That blinking dot on the map pulsed like a wound that wouldn't stop bleeding. I sat there in the dark, phone gripped in my hand, heart heavy as stone. But I didn't scream. I didn't call him. I didn't demand answers. I needed to be sure. I needed to see it with my own eyes. The next day, I asked a coworker to switch shifts. I faked being sick and took the evening off. The first time I'd done that all year. No makeup, just an old hoodie and my hair tied up in a messy bun. I waited until night, and when Omar got ready to leave with the same old excuse, meeting with a client, I smiled and told him, good luck. As soon as the door shut behind him, I grabbed my car keys, took my phone, and followed from a distance. No headlights, just enough distance to stay hidden. My hands were ice cold, but my heart was pounding. I was ready for something awful, just not sure what I'd look like when I came face to face with it. Omar's car turned onto a narrow street, where that rundown 2-star hotel sat tucked behind a laundromat and a vape shop. I parked 2 blocks away, far enough to stay out of sight. And I watched. From a distance. He walked into the bar next to the hotel. I saw him through the glass. And then, a few minutes later, she showed up. Blonde hair, loosely curled, tight red dress, bright red lips, high heels. She walked up to Omar's table like she'd done it 100 times. He stood, wrapped an arm around her waist. They leaned in close, whispered, then laughed. That kind of laugh that makes your skin crawl. I couldn't hear a word from where I stood, but their body language said everything. This wasn't the first time. They moved like 2 old lovers reunited. No hesitation, no shame. If it were you, would you have stormed in and exposed them on the spot? But me? I stayed frozen in the dark. Cold. I couldn't tell if it was the wind or the truth slicing through me. They left the bar after more than 30 minutes. His arm was around her back so tight I could see the fabric of his white dress shirt bunching up at her waist. They laughed as they walked into the hotel. Omar glanced around. For a second, I thought he saw me. But he didn't. They disappeared through the front door and never came back out. At that point, did I seem weak to you? For not stepping out, not slapping them both across the face? And you? If you saw what I saw, right in front of you, what would you do in that exact moment? Tell me in the comments, what would your move be? As for me, my heart didn't break like in the movies. No dramatic crash in my head, no flood of tears, just a hollow space, so empty, it chilled me to the bone. I stayed in the car for another 20 minutes. Eyes locked on the hotel entrance. The dim yellow bulb above the doorway cast uneven patches of light across the steps. I pictured Omar inside. I imagined the way he smiled while holding her. Did it look the same as when he held me? Did it sound the same as when he said, "You're everything to me"? But I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't rip my clothes or smash my phone. I didn't call my best friend to vent. I did nothing. Just sat there in silence, like my body hadn't caught up to the explosion of truth unraveling in front of me. And I remembered something I once read from Maya Angelou. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Omar had just shown me who he really was, and I believed him. No excuses needed. No asking why. No more sweet words to cover up the truth. I drove home. That drive felt longer than it ever had. Every red light stretched on like a lifetime. The ocean breeze slipped through the window, sharp and salty. Still, not a single tear fell. Maybe because tears don't wash away this kind of pain. When I got home, I turned on the kitchen light. The same kitchen where I'd made hundreds of meals for Omar, now cold, hollow. I rolled up my sleeves, gathered a few dishes from the sink, turned on the tap. Water ran softly. I washed the plates, one by one, slow, careful. Like nothing had happened. Like I hadn't just watched the person I loved most betray me without blinking. I stood there, hands in soapy water, the warm light casting my reflection onto the kitchen backsplash. Still as stone. No one screamed in my face. No one slapped the trust out of me. But I had just witnessed the clearest kind of betrayal, and chose silence, like I hadn't seen a thing. I washed dishes until nearly midnight. No music, no checking my phone, just me in that kitchen, scrubbing each plate, each glass, like I was trying to scrub off the filth that clung to me after watching the man I loved hold someone else. The next morning, I got up early, just like always. I hadn't slept, but I still pulled myself out of bed. I wanted everything to look the same. Like yesterday. Like the days when I still believed in him. I made the nicest breakfast I could. Soft-boiled eggs, toasted bread with peanut butter, banana oat smoothie, his favorite, even though I now knew exactly whose ear that mouth had been whispering into the night before. The kitchen smelled like breakfast, and like rage, carefully buried beneath every clean, familiar scent. Omar woke up, yawning, walked out of the bedroom looking relaxed. He wrapped his arms around my waist from behind. "You're up early," he said. "Why didn't you sleep in a little?" I turned to him, smiling like nothing had changed. "I wanted you to start your day off right." He sat at the table, complimented the food like always. I poured him coffee, no orange juice, just like every morning. Exactly the kind he liked. And as he bit into his first slice of toast, I set a small envelope down in front of him. "What's this?" he asked, grinning. "A gift for you," I said, my voice calm as ever. He opened it. A plane ticket, one way, to the Bahamas, departing tonight. Omar froze for a second, then squinted at me. "What's this? Are you joking?" "No," I said. "I booked it. A little getaway. I thought you deserved it." "But there's only one ticket?" "Yeah, I'm not going. You'll go alone. I need a few days here to reorganize the house." I spoke slowly, clearly, no dramatic emphasis, but he stiffened. "You sure? I mean, if it's a vacation, shouldn't you come too?" I shrugged. "Go ahead. I want you to relax." I said it in the exact same tone he once used when explaining that private client meeting I watched play out at the bar next to a rundown 2-star hotel. He didn't ask anything else. Maybe he felt awkward. Maybe he was starting to suspect. But he didn't have the courage to face it. Sometimes cheaters are also cowards, too afraid to ask, because deep down, they already know the truth they've been hiding. I helped him pack, still playing the part of the caring woman he once thought would always be by his side. I folded each shirt neatly, added sunscreen, even packed the sunglasses he always forgot. Every move I made was calm, gentle, like I hadn't seen everything unfold the night before. By noon, I ordered him a car to the airport. Just before he stepped out the door, he turned to look at me. "Thank you," he said. "Really, I didn't expect this. You're the only one who thinks of me like this." I nodded, gave him a quick, hollow hug. "Go on," I said. "When you get back, everything will be much more in order." I watched him leave, each step light, carefree, completely unaware. And when the door clicked shut behind him, I locked it with the new deadbolt I'd ordered 3 days ago. The same day, the scent on his collar made me sick to my stomach for the first time. I stood there, fingers tight around the key, heart as empty as the room behind me was about to become. No tears, no one to call, just me. And a home that was about to be cleared of every trace of a love that was never real. I walked straight into the bedroom, opened the closet. Everything that belonged to Omar. I pulled it out and set it aside. Shirts, shoes, watches, face towels, razors, even that bottle of cologne he just bought last week. Not a single thing stayed. I put on an instrumental playlist. No lyrics needed. The house was already loud enough with the noise in my head. One item at a time, I packed it all into old cardboard boxes. No shaky hands, no hesitation. Omar was gone, and I had started clearing every trace of him, as if he never lived here. As if the love we had was just a wrong mark on the page that needed to be wiped clean. I don't know the exact moment his plane landed in the Bahamas. I didn't care. To him, that trip was a reward. To me, it was an opportunity to clean house, starting with the first name that needed to be erased. Right after he left, I called a moving service. 3 men showed up within an hour. Fast, efficient, no questions asked. I pointed to the boxes I'd packed the night before. They carried them out one by one. Dress shirts, electric razor, dumbbells, the pair of limited edition shoes he once bragged about, all of it gone. Out of the house like it had never been here. I kept just one thing. A thin folder. Inside it, photos. Each one clear, undeniable. Omar sitting next to her, his hand on her thigh, his lips brushing her ear. She tilted her head back laughing, revealing a small snake tattoo on the back of her neck. A detail I knew I'd be needing. Because I didn't just want Omar to know I'd seen everything. I wanted her to know too. And I wanted their little world. The one where they thought they could do whatever they wanted behind someone's back. To be forced into the cold, sharp light of truth. I went back through the payment receipts and found the name of the bar where they met. Tracked down the website, then the management section. It wasn't a big place, but it had a policy tucked at the bottom of the staff rules. No personal relationships with emotionally involved customers. A small clause, easy to overlook. But I didn't. I sent an email to the bar manager, attached all the photos, dates, times, location, no long message. Just one line, you can't build a king out of a man who cheats in shadows. No threats, no insults, just the truth. And a reminder, if they let this slide, the next person who gets fooled might be someone they care about. After sending the email, I shut my laptop. I didn't wait for a reply. I didn't need an apology. I just needed them to know, I saw everything. And I'm not the fool who stays quiet anymore. That afternoon, I hired someone to replace the carpet. The footprints Omar left behind? Gone. I took down the photo we'd hung on the wall. The one from Universal Studios, the moment I once thought was our happiest. I burned it. No pain. No regret. Just erasing a fake scene from a story that was never real. By evening, I was clearing out the kitchen cabinets, tossed every spice he liked, every tub of protein powder, every bottle of supplements lined up like props in some pointless performance. The kitchen felt lighter with each thing I threw out. Every item that once belonged to him, now nothing but clutter I no longer had to carry. I deleted every photo of him from my phone. Not because I hated him, but because I didn't want anything in my life to carry the fingerprints of a lie. The day Omar came back, I already knew when his flight would land. I sat waiting in my car, parked a short distance from the house, engine off, just watching. He stepped out of the cab, dragging his suitcase behind him. Grinning under his sunglasses, light on his feet, the Bahamas sun had clearly convinced him life was bright and beautiful. But real life? It's not a vacation postcard. He walked up to the door, reached into his pocket for the key, but the lock was new. He tried again. Still nothing. I saw him pull out his phone and call me. I didn't answer. He knocked. No response. No footsteps, no one inside. And most importantly, nothing in that house belonged to him anymore. He looked around. And for the first time, I saw real confusion on Omar's face. He kept tapping his phone. I knew he was calling me, calling friends, maybe even the landlord, but all he got in return was silence. For a moment, I imagined he'd scream, kick the door, shout my name. But he didn't. He just stood there, stunned. No home to walk into, no one to talk to, no kingdom to return to. Omar stood outside my house for nearly 2 hours. I know, because I watched. through the security camera I had installed the week before, the kind that records every movement. He called, texted, knocked, lowered his head and sighed. At one point, he gave the step a small kick, like a sulking child, but I never came out, never picked up. A few days later, he came back, this time with a bag and a bouquet of flowers. He stood there, voice raw, repeating the same line over and over. Please come out. Just talk to me. Just once. I still didn't open the door, not because I felt nothing, but because I'd finally learned. Not every feeling deserves a second chance. His friends, the ones who used to hang out at our place, the ones who once praised our relationship, started cutting ties with him after the truth came out. One of them messaged me privately. I don't know why he'd betray someone like you. I'm honestly embarrassed for him. And the other woman, the one in the red dress with the soft blonde curls, didn't get to walk away clean either. The bar manager received the photos and evidence I sent, and not long after, she was let go for violating company policy. I heard she tried applying to a few other places, but this industry's small, and word spreads fast. The woman who lured a taken man to a hotel isn't exactly the kind of title that looks good on a resume. I didn't feel joy. I didn't feel revenge. I just felt lighter. I moved out of that apartment, settled into a new place, took a different job at a smaller, quieter resort with no leftover memories clinging to the walls. I lived alone, woke up early, exercised, read books at night. No one needed breakfast. No one needed clean shirt sleeves. No one messaged, "Can you book my spa for the weekend?" For the first time in years, I felt free. Not tied to the role of the perfect girlfriend. Not forced to prove I was worthy of love by taking care of someone else. I lived for me. And in that quiet, I started to reclaim what I'd lost. Of course, there were moments when I still paused. One morning, I heard someone call out Omar in the middle of a grocery store. One rainy afternoon, the scent of fabric softener brought back the image of him, sitting on the couch, smiling at me like nothing in the world could ever pull us apart. There are moments I wonder, if he had made a different choice that day, would I have ever needed to become this strong? I won't lie, my heart still stirs when I think of him, not because I'm foolish, but because I once loved him, truly. And sometimes, in the stillness of night or the middle of an old song, I find myself asking, should I forgive Omar? Should I let him back in, just once more? When my heart still trembles like this, maybe it's because I loved too much. Drop us your thoughts. Some people don't cheat because they stopped loving. They cheat because they were never kind enough to protect something good when they had it. Kira didn't lose because she was betrayed. She won by walking away with her dignity without begging for pity. In love, kindness is giving. But respect, that's how you hold on. If someone makes you question your own worth, maybe it's time to let go instead of holding on. Have you ever forgiven someone who didn't deserve it just because you loved them too much? Share your story in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Love Stories for more real stories. Painful but honest, broken but unbowed. Thanks for staying with us till the very end.